We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist. And it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Three.
They'll be calling you a radical. Little technical difficulties this morning. It happens with this organic, freelance, mutated sunflower blowing in the wind. We don't participate in the Queen's freaking ring kissing. We ain't into all that money. This is raw. This is growing. We need a lot of breaking news this morning as far as Fukushima is going. There's a major developing story in Fukushima, and there's breaking news at Fukushima. And, of course, the gigantic news that's coming out of Carlsbad. Let's start right off the gate with Carlsbad. It's the most pending. DNA News reporting this morning that an official has come out and said that giant amounts of plutonium have been released and they're being picked up 20 miles away. This is a big, big story. And let me tell you, sheeple and you, in your dogma snuggies, right, left, what can we do? There's a lot we can do. Remember, the senator in New Mexico is Udall. That's Stuart Udall's nephew. Now, here's how you get to him. I've been emailing him, I call him Allison McFarland. Now, let's remember, Allison McFarland is head of the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Committee. I know Allison. Her and I have gone at it for years about the WIPP and Yucca Mountain. She's been anti-WIPP and anti-Yucca Mountain her entire life. That's why Harry Reid placed her to replace Gregory Jackal. That's why Gregory Jackal was placed there, simply to block Yucca Mountain. Harry Reid grew up at Yucca Mountain. Harry Reid is a Mormon who worked for ATK right here. When the Challenger blew up, yes, Harry Reid works there. Yes, and it was the ATK's rocket booster, one of the major employees. And I want to tie this together now. Hang with me. I'm not one of these guys you could turn on and just get your 10-second soundbite. Go over to Foxconn and kiss the Queen's ass. Fox News are the greatest terrorists in the history of this country, bar none. And any of you who follow them and go along with them, Rupert Murdoch was hired by the House of Windsor, sponsored by the House of Windsor, and they have propagated it. You are the Queen's royal subjects. You are terrorists. You are Benedict Arnolds. Any person who listens to one word they say, any people that participate in that thesis, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, they are terrorists, hardcore, anti-American terrorists of the worst kind. They make Benedict Arnold look like a church mouse. Same with Ken from Wood Holes. Ken from Wood Holes, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, has jumped ship. He's went lock, stock, barrel, hook, line, sinker in for working for the nuclear industry. Helen Caldecott is working for the nuclear industry. She came out. Now, never forget this. Helen Caldecott has made millions. This is not my words, her husband's words who divorced her. Helen Caldecott's not anti-nuclear. Helen Caldecott's about selling her demographics to her books, these little old ladies that walk around in these things and sign these. We've had it with them. You young people need to awake and arise. I'm done with the baby boomers. We need my post-ignorance army is big and it's broad. It's getting bigger every day. We are not about quantity, we're about quality. Now let's talk about this. What's developing? People don't even know what that is at Carlsbad. It's the pilot program. Okay, now why do we have that sneaky little monster down there? Because the deal was, in the 60s and the 70s, when this blew up, that the deal was, there's no answer for the waste. There'll never be any answer for the waste. And all you assholes who come forward and say, oh, they have this technology, they have that. No, they don't. No, they don't. And all you assholes say, oh, we have cure for cancer. Oh, all you assholes, oh, low radiation's good for you. You're fucking fools. Fools with a capital F. You know how many people die from cancer a day in this country? We're the cancer capital of the world. And you arrogant fuck baby boomers and you wacka boomers who stand, oh, eats an apricot seed, smokes some leg weed, and you sit there, you know shit. When you get sick, and you're going to, so many of you are going to go to, you go to that out of college and he tells you, he uses the word acute on you. You're going to go into a surreal state, you fill your body up with cannabis, go for it. He's going to laugh at you. He watches it dozens of times a day, and you're going to die, just like that. And you're going to fucking go to heaven and get your 10 fucking virgins. You evangelical Fox News watching fucks make me sick, every one of you. You ring-kissing assholes. You're the problem. Okay, Yucca Mountain. What is Yucca Mountain? Let's go back to 3rd grade, kids. Yucca Mountain's the national repository where we decided to put the waste from these 104 reactors that we build all over the United States, because there's no answer for the waste. That was the deal. So everybody argued for years, oh, you can't transport the waste by rail, by truck, which, by the way, we do all day, every day, secretly. We have the whole time. We take it right here from Utah. My show's live and direct right here in downtown South Ogden, Utah, at the Queen's freaking University, which used to be a powerful university. Weber State, the University of General Electric. All these professors, they kiss the ass of the Queen when their ancestors, they suck up their resources, they suck up their inherited wealth. They're air suckers and earth crawlers. They think that they were born into a society that simply was to spend inherited wealth, to spend people's freaking money that was freaking built up and brought up via the nuclear cartel, via all kinds of murder you with a gun cartel. Their life is to suck all that equity out and just freaking go around. Their lives are inconsequential. 99% of all Americans' lives are totally meaningless because they choose to be meaningless. They're born, they suck air, they crawl, and they die. Meaningless. That was never what America was. Never. Never. We always had people who stood up. So the WIPP was built secretly. Oh, everybody's against Yucca Mountain. Alice McFarland says there's an ancient aquifer under Yucca Mountain. We can't put it there. We can't put it there. It's too dangerous. So She has said for years, shoot it into space. I've argued with her for 30 years. I'm like, bullshit. It's too dangerous to shoot it into space because of the 1986 Challenger accident. Harry Reid worked for ATK. It was their rocket booster that blew up and killed those astronauts. He's the very one blocking Yucca Mountain. So he knows how dangerous it is, but he doesn't want it in his state. Who would? So they snuck it into Carlsbad in the middle of the night, real quiet. What's in there? There's still plutonium from the Trinian. I mean, from the inception at Los Alamos. It's in there. We don't know for sure because it's so secret, and we know, and the Patriot Act even made that stronger, there are no watchdogs. Where did all the watchdogs go? The people that used to watch these things here in Utah, we had all kinds of people. They're still alive because they got a club. They're in Heldon Caldicott's club. They're in Arnie Shill's club. They're in all these different clubs. Ken's club. They got a club. They got a club, and they circled the way. Oh, look, we talked about Dan Wood and all these people that died of leukemia. Ha, ha, ha. Now we have little freaking parties, and we invite people. We have cheese balls, and we sit around, we hug each other, and we, oh, did you write another book? Which nobody reads their fucking books. That's their club. They don't watch shit because they never were anti-nuclear. That's what people need to get in their fucking heads, and they can't get this in their heads. The anti-nuclear establishment, their club, they are not anti-nuclear. They are pro-nuclear. Without nuclear, they don't sell books. Helen Caldicott is pro-nuclear. Arnie Gunderson is pro-nuclear. Chris Busby is pro-nuclear. All these people that wrote books, and so they're war profiteers. They are simply fucking war profiteers. So Carlsbad has all that waste leak in it. As soon as we heard, okay, the salt truck fire, I knew that was a lie immediately because that's how they play. We know how they play. We watched 3 Mile Island. We watched, we watched Fukushima. But this time, Fukushima, you can't blame it. The IAEA spent $4 billion on the propaganda machine, and the media went along with it. You can't blame them this time. Not this time. Not this time, because we have social media. People don't watch news. You know about Fukushima. Yet you crawled up in your dogma, Snuggie, and you divided up red pill, blue pill, and compromised the 60% of the populace who actually matter. The rest of you dogmatic. We invoke ignorance. Oh, go get a gun. Yeah, I got a gun and I got some gold. I'm going to change your ignorance. You got to realize, do you know how low the average IQ of the average American is in this country? Yet we let them take the field. We let Rupert Murdoch's, Rupert Murdoch's was totally 100 sponsored, brought up, propagandized by the House of Windsor. He's not an American. He's beyond Benedict. He's not American. Never claimed to be an American. America is the abstract fight against a monarchy system. Mission accomplished. They took it all on. Carlsbad is leaking into the atmosphere. They picked it up in the RadNet. Remember RadNet? Are they covering up? Carlsbad's being covered up more than Fukushima right now. I mean, it's a big, big, big deal. A big, big deal because I'll tell you what. There's a report coming from down there that a roof collapsed and crushed some barrels of plutonium and leaked. Now, when the whole cavern's sealed up, does that matter? I don't know. Can it get out? They say not. But it's not closed up. It's an active repository where they go in and out of it every day with workers in there. It's not sealed up. So you're telling me, I mean, it's so grotesque. The American sheep are so pathetically, apathetically gone. Air suckers and earth crawlers. It's not sealed up. So plutonium's being detected. What, you think they just turned off the valve? You don't turn off the valve with this stuff. There is no valve to turn off. Once it starts releasing it down, what are they going to do? Seal it up? They're not going to seal it up, and I'll tell you why they're not going to seal it up. That would admit their failure. Just like a Fukushima, that would not admit their failure. So you people in New Mexico, Texas, all across, and this professor who come out of Texas Tech, he's like all academia across this. I'm an ex-professor. #1 school of business in the United States. #1 MBA when I taught. Not now. Because it used to, and I want this to be very, very, very clear as about a doctor, a PhD, your dissertation. The greatest PhDs in American history never were handed to you by a university. Never were peer reviewed. I believe the greatest PhD in American history was Martin Luther King. Did any university give him to that? He did it out in the street. He did it out in the working class. He actually did it in the field. That's what PhDs used to be, not sitting around with a bunch of academians patting each other on the back, just like the marine biologists in California. The reason there's no studies coming out because they don't know how to do the studies. They really don't. They have no clue how to do it. They just sit around, pat each other back, kumbaya, get, 200,000-300,000 in their freaking glass house. They don't know anything about the ocean. They don't know anything about studying it. Carlsbad is leaking all over you. Plutonium is being detected. Wow. They're not even holding back as far as that. They didn't say cesium-134, so they said 137 like everybody uses because that's the shortest half-life is why they say that. It's a killer from hell. Do not kid yourself. But they don't mention plutonium because, that's man-made. Hangs around for hundreds of thousands of years. They detected plutonium in the RadNet detection. Allison McFarland, head of RadNet. Radiation Detection Network that you as the taxpayer spent billions. They're on every university. They're all over. Oh, they magically didn't work after 3 days of Fukushima. Oh, they worked down there. Oh, they did work down there. They're shutting them down there. There's a leak going on there. It's blowing across you. It causes cancer. It causes birth defects. It causes all kinds of autoimmune diseases. But you're too ignorant to see. Fukushima, we have breaking news. There's news coming out that the so-called cooling pumps in number 4 have shut down again. Which who knows if any of that's true. But here's the bigger developing story that's coming out of Fukushima right now. This is the big developing story. As you know, I go back to John Kennedy, July 26, 1963, when he signed the Test Ban Treaty, which flew in the face of the military-industrialized complex. He and Eisenhower, both anti-industrialized complex, they saw the writing on the wall. He went straight at him, toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose. He bucked the trend. Here's the problem in America. Here's the problem. The United States, home of the cowards. We elect leaders, and these leaders are cowards. Barack Obama, a coward of the greatest kind. George Bush, W. Bush, the greatest coward in history. Foxconn, cowards. All you freaking people that are afraid, cowards. Bill Clinton, Rhodes Scholar from Oxford. House of Windsor. Get rid of tariffs, sign NAFTA. Coward. They're all cowards. Every one of them. John Kennedy was no coward. John Kennedy was a man. He signed it. He says, oh no, you're not killing my people. That's the problem. These people won't stand up. So, Marie Antoinette, let them eat yellow cake. The nuclear whore that he has turned into be. With no, I mean, it's so grotesque what he's evolved. I voted for him. Because what's the alternative? Think about it. What's the alternative? The machine, the Dick Cheney mass murder, as you call yourselves, Christian machine, who totally gutted and annihilated this country and handed it right over to the Queen. 2000, when Bush was elected, we had a surplus. Oil, $12 a barrel. Gold, $235 an ounce. We had no inflation, none, zero. We had a very rich country. Very rich, very prosperous. Was the will set in motion by Clinton signing NAFTA for that? Yeah. But the war machine, when he stole the election in 2000, the military coup, on Balco, what they did, they robbed the Treasury. And then, of course, no accountability. Polson robbed the Treasury for $400 billion. He's living in, from what I hear Polson is living in a castle in Europe. Remember, Alexander Hamilton, when he was head of the Treasury, the first one paid himself nothing, 0.0. So Barack Obama is going to Japan on April 22nd. Why? Oh, John Kennedy's daughter, the last living of the Kennedys, is the ambassador to Japan, the 50th anniversary of those iconic photographs of her standing there, that broken-hearted little girl and that broken-hearted, beautiful wife of his, and that amazing son, who would have been president right now if that death didn't happen. Where was she? Where was she on the exact 50th to the moment? Oh, in Fukushima, Japan. From what I understand, she was aghast. She was like, oh. She's starting to leak out. This is how they work. She's starting to leak out. There was a report she leaked out and made a statement that it's going to take private industry to clean up Japan. They're trying to pivot away from the IAEA. Now, remember this. Don't any one of you ever forget this. At the exact same time that the Carlsbad leak is going on, the first time the National Repository has ever went amok. At the exact same time that the coast of California, all across America through the jets, are being hammered by Fukushima. Nuclear fission happening for the first time in human history. Meltdowns going on. First time in 30 years. Barack Obama signed $30 billion worth of, not guaranteed loans is not a guarantee. He handed the nuclear cartel in Savannah, Georgia. And it's pretty ironic that the Carlsbad leak is going right over Georgia right now, right smack dab over Savannah, right over that plant. All you people that live around there, you know, we got the rub incident going in freaking Florida. So she's starting to forecast that it's going to take private industry. Remember this. I know this because I started ranting and raving about Fukushima, and my experience is so in-depth and so detailed with this. Half of mine. My father, the atomic veteran, nuclear death in the Nevada test site, growing up in Utah with the fiercest, hardcore anti-nuclears in the world. Wallace Stegner, Edward Abbey, Stuart Udall. Oh, who's the senator in New Mexico? Do you know how anti-nuclear Stuart Udall was? You know, Wallace Stegner were best friends. By the way, Wallace Stegner was killed in New Mexico because he wouldn't spend the Sierra Club's money. He would drive, even as an old man. But I said, hey, why don't you just drive or get a driver? Oh, no, I'm not going to spend that money. He was a purist. He had a stroke and was killed because they refused to sell their money in New Mexico. Stuart Udall's nephew, both his nephews, are senators. They couldn't make a pimple on Stuart Udall's ass. Stuart Udall on the Green. I met Stuart Udall on the Green River with Wallace Stegner on a camping venture. We went with Stegner. That's what he used to do with his students. Do you know they're trying to build a nuclear plant on the Green River? I said, why don't you just put a statue of Ted Bundy on I-15? You know, Dirty Herbie told me to F off right to my freaking face, our governor. But you people love to be repressed. Oh, we love it. Thank you. Thank you for putting us $20 trillion in debt. Thank you for destroying the Fed and freaking Ayn Randing the Fed when Ayn Rand was she never claimed to be a freaking economist. She never claimed to be an economist. Never. Greenspan did that. Greenspan, the number one greatest terrorist in American history. The greatest terrorist in the ass kisser, ring kisser, I mean, the House of Windsor. So here we're going to go over. Barack Obama is going to make a statement. He's going to go over to Japan. And do not forget this. From what I understand, and I think this is probably pretty accurate from my experience with this, there has been well over 200,000 people working on Fukushima's cleanup. This is how well the sealing off of the media has been. There's no fly zones over it. There's no go zones over it. They bust in, and they have been in our time by the thousands of people. They've been underground. It was reported a year and a half ago that 800 and some of them were already dead. That number, they're saying, is in the 3,000 to 4,000 of those workers. So are they trying to entomb? Are they trying under there? Yeah, they're in there. They're in there. Are they doing it similar to Chernobyl? I think they are somewhat. You're just not seeing it. You're just not seeing it. Now, we know for a fact they're busing homeless. A lot of them are older people. They're making them sign a disclosure contract. And it's being run by the mob. The Japanese mobs run it. Why not? The mob hire the mob. They know what they're doing. The nuclear cartel is the greatest mob in history. They make the insurance mob of Italy. And you think about, why is there no nuclear in Italy? Because every time they come in, they try all the time, the mob kneecaps them, whacks them. They ain't letting them in. Same with Spain. They whack them. They don't sit around and have a debating society. So they're in there. It's obviously fading what they're up to, and we know that it's fading because we're seeing the tritium levels come out of TEPCO's wells day after day, day after day. And we got Cam from Wood Holes. Now, by the way, I want people to know this about Cam from Wood Holes, this rat troll. A woman left a giant endowment in her inheritance to Wood Holes. That's the only reason he's in this business. The only reason. Gigantic sum of money. She loved the ocean, and she was an anti-nuclear. to study the ocean, so he burned through millions and millions. He's lived like a freaking royal his whole life. Now he's in Japan, and he begging for money. He was begging for money. Well, who stepped up with the money? The nuclear cartel. He's coming out today saying that in Canada, it's finally, the plume has reached Vancouver, Canada. Season 134 is here, but it's such low. He's a fucking liar. He's a rat from hell. Yeah, I find it to be such a disgrace to a person like me fighting for my life with leukemia. All these people I've watched die. It's pathetic. So what I think is being postured and groomed, they 1090'd you. John Goffman told you to do it. You know, they did it at Chernobyl. But we know the story because of freelancers. Men went in there with their naked bodies and started exposing, and people started to pay attention because they saw these Freudian asshole punks that they are. Ooh, look at that good-looking naked Russian girl. What? They're talking about radio. What's that? It worked. So many around the world know of that vast cover-up of the IAEA and the World Health Organization, the UN, which was hijacked by the nuclear cartel. The nuclear cartel owns this world. Who's the nuclear cartel? What is the breakdown? The House of Windsor, the Queen, her uranium mines, clean energy. Eric Lax, Peter Gill, the propaganda machine out of L.A. That's how they'll work this. You're going to see an announcement, I think, come out here soon. Doc Baum's going to go over there and he's going to say, we need, and you'll see another big, fat, huge giveaway of taxpayer funds to the nuclear cartel. Oh, we got to clean this up and fix it. Why are they shoving more nuclear down your throats? Why the WIPP is leaching? There's no answer for the waste. Just that alone, just the answer for no waste is enough reason there should be no nuclear in the world. That alone. But what do they do with the waste? Oh, yeah. Oh, now I get it. Oh, the Queen points freaking bombs at you. Oh, I get it. The baby boomer, have I given up on them? Oh, yeah. They're pathetic. They're gone. It's like this. Here's how it worked in this country. The Greatest Generation, that's where I totally disagree with Oliver Stone. 100%. He says that they weren't the great. Yes, they were. And the reason they were the Greatest Generation, because they went through the Depression. My mom says you watch Cinderella Man, that's exactly the way it was. And she came from a pretty affluent family. Gone. Wiped out. Young family. So they knew what it was to be hungry. They knew what it was to freaking be poor. Women huddled in freaking, shelters. Grown men by the hundreds sleeping in fields. They circled each other and they protected each other and they loved each other. They understood and they created the greatest middle class in human history. They went after the bankers. What do you think Bonnie and Clyde were worshipped like heroes? Every time they robbed a bank, people jumped up and cheered and went crazy. They were American heroes. They circled the wagons. The tax rate on the 1% was 92%. They did not believe in inherited wealth. It was against, for you to leave your money, this sucked up monarchy system that has existed all over Anglo-Saxon freaking the world for hundreds and hundreds of years. One place was the experiment and broke the back of that. They hated the monarchy system. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Governor Morris, every one of them. They hated. They were brilliant, intelligent, dynamic, incredible people. Sam Adams, they dressed up like Indians. Threw that tea off the freaking boat because it was a tariff war. Hamilton's Scottish royal freaking bloodlines. His father abandoned him in the Caribbean. Turned him into an orphan. Watched his mother struggle. This brilliant genius. Oh, he hated him. One thing that has been quintessentially American until this generation, the most quintessential thing American, was to hate the Queen. Franklin Roosevelt. I got to tell you, Winston, I went to London in 1908. I saw Queen Victoria. I got to tell you, I hated the old witch. I was 8 years old. It was quintessentially American to hate that system. Not now. You want to be royals. You've bought in. How did they pull it off? Foxconn. Rupert Murdoch is one of them. He's a royal from the House of Windsor. Bill Clinton, they found him, gave him a Rhodes Scholar. They turned him into one of them. Ross Perot said it perfectly. You sign NAFTA, whoosh, you're done. We were done. We turned right back. We are a colony of England. The United States is purely a colony of England, and you go along with it. I heard a guy this morning go on a rant on the radio here, and he's like, oh, it's the greatest country in America. We're the bestest country in America because you're stupid motherfuckers. It's that simple. What do you have? What do you have? Honestly, what do you have? You have debt. Yeah, technology's helped you out a little bit. You have a cell phone and you have a car. You cocoon up in your car. You drive around in your fake styrofoam piece of shit house that's over leveraged to the gills. Oh, they're going to put us in a FEMA. You're in your own fucking FEMA camp. You created your own FEMA camp. Regressive nominal wages for 36 consecutive years. So here's the baby boomer. Born 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, the United States, 0.0 debt. No debt. A federal responsibility that cared. A bunch of leaders who had integrity. Eisenhower was a pretty honorable man. So was John Kennedy. They don't set law. Congress. We had congressmen. We had senators who cared. We had people in our community that cared. We had church leaders who stood up against the royals. They hated that system. They knew what that system did to them. They fought back, just like Abraham Lincoln fought back, just like McKinley fought back, just like FDR fought back, just like John Kennedy fought back, just like Alexander Hamilton fought back. All these fought against the royals. They fought. So the House of Windsor, not this time. We didn't fight back. So we take this country we were born into, that I was born into. We grew up in the 50s. Our one parent working 40 hours a week, raising 4 or 5 kids in a modest home, but a nice home. 40 hours a week, time and a half, double time, full benefit. And if they didn't get, they just fuck you, walk down the road. How do we do it? Oh, a bunch of fucking protectionists. Oh yeah. You think it's a coincidence we all drove GMs and Fords? You couldn't get a foreign car in here if you wanted. Oh yeah. It's the old Mercedes thesis, business. We knew if we're going to compete in the United States the only way because the tariff was so high to get these in because they protect their workers. We had to turn ourselves into a luxury brand. How did they do it? Famous story. Selling cars in here, even though they were paying the tariff to get them, they were expensive cars. Not expensive enough. CEO says, double the price. He doubled the price and turned it into a luxury good. So the only luxury good that was here was a Mercedes. You were really, really rich. You bought a Mercedes and you paid your share of taxes. Huge share of taxes. Gladly did it because you knew the thesis of World War I and World War II. And if you don't think this is history repeating itself, think about 1916 in your head. One family ruled the entire world. One inbred family out of Austria, including Catherine, not so great. All of them were related. The bleeders. Took them all apart. We know how they were taken apart. Wasn't pretty. Wasn't nice. One was left standing. Oh, look at this ugly bitch, Kate Madeline. I mean, that's the grossest, ugliest, not on 2 fifths of whiskey. Look at these creepy little, those 2 boys look just like their ugly, ugly father and that ugly, ugly grandma. Look just like them. They're hideous. They're dumb. They're ignorant, but we just feed them. They don't look like their beautiful mom. Oh, yeah. Look what they did to her. Yeah. That's what they do. That's what they do. Don't cross the queen because you guys support them. So we're handed this America. When you graduated from high school, it wasn't what career, which career. No debt, 0.0 debt, usury laws. The maximum interest rate that could be charged in this country, most states, I think all states, was 6% above prime. Prime's less than 0. We had a responsible Fed. We had a responsible government in a lot of ways. Yeah, they made mistakes. They had problems. But the men with integrity rose up, and that's who we voted for. Not now. Cowards. So you guys, we were handed this incredible country with all this equity. Giant sums of equity. The greatest amount of equity in a middle class in human history. Through tariffs, through protectionism policies, through integrity, through hating the queen and the usury economy. That usury thesis has gone clear back to Jesus Christ himself. He hated it. He hated it. He wanted to feed the poor. I mean, he didn't want a society of usury. Now we're all usury. Nuclear is the quintessential top of the heap, usury. So we're handling all this equity. Us is a spoiled rotten baby. I remember the old timers. God, I'll be glad I'm dead when you little spoiled rotten fuckers take the field. Oh boy, they got it. They knew. We burned up all the equity. Went through it, burned it up. Then we decided we wanted to start mass murdering. Because the evangelicals and the Mormon Church and Foxconn hijacked from being Christians in the name of Jesus to being devils in the name of Satan. The evangelicals in this country are Satan. Are none. So are the Mormons. They are Satan in hairspray. Passive aggressive devils from hell. How can you preach the mass murder of the people? It's like 9/11. The money was traced immediately within 3 days. I was a derivative trader. They bought puts on the freaking airlines. We know somebody bought puts on the line, made billions of dollars. We knew it. It's an easy paper trade. Electronic, it's to be traced, forensic account 101. I was a professor then. I'm like, they got him. They got him. Where'd it trace? Oh, to the House of Windsor. They wait 10 years to John Goffman. You spend your time. They come out now. 3 years ago it was reported. Too big to jail. The House of Windsor. Mission accomplished? Oh, yeah. But now, one thing changes everything. The history can't repeat itself now. Why can't history repeat itself? Because we can't just wash out this society and a new one reboot, which has happened generational. Religion, by definition, generational arrogance. On Balco this time. Oh, nuclear fallout in the atmosphere. That changes the whole equation. So not only did we burn through all that equity, we have $20 trillion in fucking debt. $20 trillion and going. I like how they come out and say the average American makes $40,000 a year when the real average American makes less than $20,000 a year. Not to mention, they thrashed the dollar. The dollar, I was in Manhattan. The head of the EU, the euro, the day that the euro went, I was all excited because I was a derivative trader and I used to have to take all those foreign currencies. I used to have to crunch those numbers, every single one, against the dollar. Our dollar was so powerful. Why do you think we all traveled to Europe for freaking Christmas? We went to Milan shopping. We went to Paris. That's what it was. Now they do the same thing opposite. The euro come out. He says, we hope someday to have the euro trading equivalent to the United States dollar. Who knew from 2003, 2006, it not only went from 75 cents to $1.60. It's $1.137 right now. Thrashed. Destroyed the United States dollar. Crushed it. What crushed it? Barack Obama? No, crushed before he even got there. Did he participate status quo? Oh, yeah. Barack Obama's like this. We had hope. We thought he was this African-American. When Jackie Robinson, I go back to Jackie Robinson. Michelle's last name's Robinson. The greatest baseball players in the country were African-Americans. And by the way, Babe Ruth was probably a half African-American. You look at his facial feature, he was in the orphanage of Baltimore. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind he had African-American bloodlines in him. Absolutely no doubt. Most historians, including the great historian Kearns, will agree with you, Doris. She's brilliant. The greatest player, Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson. Jackie Robinson, a very good player. Oh, yeah, great player. But why did Blanch Rickey pick him? Pick him to break the back of the racist economy. That Jim Crow South, as Abraham Lincoln, all that blood and that devastation as the South funded up the war, and Booth with one bullet ends all that hard work over, done, hasta la vista. Johnson becomes president and repeals everything, and the Jim Crow South exists for 100 years. Blanch Rickey was smart enough to take a man who had thick skin, who was tough, who was strong, who could take it. He could take it. He was called the N-word in the freaking dugout all the time, but he was tough. He'd get right back in their face. He fought the bully. That's coming right from a lot of the most racist players on his own team who hated him at first, ended up loving him. Ernie Harwell says it so beautifully. Barack Obama, we thought that was him. It's like when I grew up on this big ranch out here in Utah, and this incredible family had two young aunts, my dad's little sisters. They were away from college, and they'd come back home. My grandpa and my dad, we'd sit around the big ranch, all the men, I mean, the old school. They'd bring home different guys, potential new husbands. You know, my grandpa would look at him, they'd leave. Where'd you find that dud? My dad, where'd you find that dud? That's what Barack Obama is. He's a dud. We thought he was a Jackie Robinson. He was the opposite. He was a dud. The biggest dud in history. So here we were ready. The Queen's coming at us, just overwhelming us. Freaking the old monarchy system, the nuclear cartel just washing over the top of us. Oh, we got this African American. He'll stand up. They know the thesis. We know that the African American community knows the thesis of America. We know this is going to change. He's Jackie Robinson. Where did we find that dud? He is a dud. George W. Bush, dud? No, that's an evil little devil. Little Hitler. Dick Cheney's a bitch on a leash. Dick Cheney is a freaking terrorist from hell that belongs to be freaking tied up, hung. He's Mussolini. Not only does he freaking commit and rob the treasury, mass murder populace, annihilate where the Tigris and the Euphrates meet. That ancient biblical freaking with depleted uranium on his own men. They sprayed phosphorus, the nuclear cartel, on their own men. The Queen's freaking puppets. I think they sit around the House of Windsor and say, oh my God, we funded 9/11. Otta. We're the ones that sent them the money. We funded the whole apparatus. We funded Rupert Murdoch, Operation Foxconn. We probably funded more in church. We funded the evangelicals, the prosperity gospel. Jesus died so I could be rich. Jesus died so I could mass murder his very home. The nuclear cartel, I think they sit around and say, I can't even believe how it works. I can't believe how these sheep go along. The baby boomer, I'm done with them. I'm really disgusted with them. I'm so violent. Oh, I'm going to smoke some weed. I'm fine with cancer. Oh, WIPP's leaking at Carlsbad. Oh, these nuclear reactors. We got rubs going on all over. Oh, Fukushima is genociding the Pacific Ocean. Oh, I hear the plume's going to hit in 2014. I can't believe that John Goffman'd you. I told the tale from the day it happened in exact hardcore detail, in a very radical, intense, acute way, like I should have, like I was supposed to. Run around with my hair on fire, like my cancer was, acute. I got cancer. This incredible, epic, giant story that I told in a very dynamic way from the day it happened. Watch my cancer, watch my fight with cancer, watch my past, watch my future, watch my present in this thesis. But that you still didn't care. The baby boomers still did not care. They were told. They know the truth. The truth is the plume reigned over us, including, it's heartbreaking. Megan Rice is the capitulated, broke my heart in that courtroom. The 28th, she finished it up on February 18th. You could tell she wasn't even the same Megan Rice. Even she's brokenhearted. She knows. She had no idea how far the Queen's army had gone. She had no idea. These hairspray prosecutors, judges, police force, the military has hook, line, sinker, went on to the monarchies. They're the Queen's soldiers. Colonialists, the United States is the United States of nuclearism, which we are a colony of the monarchy now. America's over. The Great American Experiment, which was the abstract experiment against a bloodline being born into wealth. In England for 1,000 years, all over Europe in 1,000 years, their belief system is that you're born to serve them. It's all about bloodlines. You're born, and if you're not born into that so-called elite royal bloodline, you are more than a peasant to serve them. And the earth is to rob the natural resources of everything to benefit them and make them richer and richer. It's less than 1%. But the only way that works is the populace. It's called the Dragon Slayer. For centuries, William Wallace tried to fight back. So many people tried to fight back, but it never really got taken apart until 1774. Alexander Hamilton, George Washington. These were Englishmen. So many of them. Hamilton wasn't. He was in the Caribbean. He watched the slave trade, the first abolitionists. They hated the usury economy. But then Jesus fought against it. So many people fought against it, but we finally did it. In 17, we kicked their asses the fuck out of here. Get your English bullshit monarchy asses out of here and stay the fuck out. Fuck you. King George. Come on over here, King George. I got a present for you. Remember in 1812, they floated up the Potomac River and they burnt down the White House, the House of Windsor. But no, you let them back up. Look, Kate's going to have a baby. Oh, the British invasion. Our media. Pierce Morgan really replaces Larry King? Larry King, the Brooklyn guy? Oh, yeah. Marie Osmond, that phony Mormon girl right here. What a whore. Oh, my God. Pill-popping lunatic. Her son committed suicide. I don't even think she even knew his name. She lined that girl up. I know that girl that's married to Larry King. Oh, she was having an affair with the soccer coach. That's what Mormon girls do. I mean, it's a facade. You know, that's how they work. That's how this happens. You put on a facade and you play the game. So he quits to go baby tan to his freaking 50-year younger wife to guard the stock. They replace him with Pierce Morgan. CBS News Desk replaced with the young. They're all right out of the propaganda machine, the Orwell propaganda machine, the Queens. For Rupert Murdoch was funded by the House of Windsor. We know that. That's Gilded and Gold Cast in Concrete. Let's see, he just got divorced. That gold-digging Chinese whore. She was smart. Because his children, they wanted that wealth. They weren't going to let her, Anna Nicole Smith, them. They had contracts drawn up. She can't get it. Oh, but unless she squirted out a couple babies. Can you imagine a female letting that old geezer on you? So she had a couple babies. Divorced. Oh, she was having an affair. He caught her. I'm sure she had lots of affairs. Oh, yeah, she loved him. Who was the affair with? Oh, Tony Blair. Can you imagine? Oh, my God. You know, so I guess she's just turned on by power. Wow. I mean, whew. You've been had. All of you have been had. You go buy a gun, what good is that going to do? The only way we crack this dynamic is from within. Inside the military, inside the police force. There's good cops. There's lots of good cops. There's lots of good, honorable people in the military, but they are in the minority. The rest of us drinking the Kool-Aid. Academia, gone. Completely gone. Academia, PhDs, peer review, really? It's a joke. This guy from Texas Tech comes out, oh, don't even worry. It's okay. Because they know who supports them. We need a small little group. We need a young little group. The post-ignorance needs to grow, and it needs to be the young, because the baby boomers are gone. The average baby boomer is 63 years old. They got no money. They got no health. They got no knowledge. They got jack. It's like all the freaking weed smokers. Oh, we just want to sit and freaking smoke themselves into a FEMA camp. Oh, well, I'm sick. I'm a hypochondriac. Oh, I got this disease. When they don't have shit. I've had AML, leukemia, critical condition. I'm 10 times more active than these people that freaking just make up diseases. Oh, I'm sick. I'm this. I'm going to self-medicate. Yeah, you self-medicate yourself into a FEMA camp. You never did live. You don't even know what living is. Not me, but it's disgusting to me what they did to Megan Rice, and you stand by. America stands by. She scolded that judge so hardcore in that courtroom, she went off on him. In a sarcastic, elegant, incredible, dynamic, beautiful way. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor, for incarcerating me in a federal prison. Thank you for giving me no due process. Thank you for putting me in a federal detention, private, for-profit prison that tortures their people, that has no rehabilitation. $15 for a phone call. Thank you, Your Honor, for torturing an 84-year-old woman. Thank you for not letting us out on bail awaiting sentencing. Because we're terrorists? We're peaceful? Really? You think about that hairspray prick, Theodore. They held them as terrorists awaiting sentencing. The 80-year-old nun, the protege of Martin Luther King, the protege of Dr. Rice, the protege of Dorothy Day. Really? Really? The baby boomer has lost their conscience, their soul. It's so vile. It's so disgusting. Kiss the Queen's ass, every fucking one of you. Make me sick. You know, we live in the bestest, greatest country in America. Wrap yourself up in a fucking flag. Not me. United States of nuclearism. We mass murder an Iraqi fucking culture, an ancient biblical culture who never did one thing to us. Saddam Hussein never did one fucking thing to us. We hung him so hard we ripped his head off his shoulders. You talk to the two young men that used to guard his cell. Read their books about him. They loved him. Yeah, he used gas on his own people? I don't know. I don't fucking know. Those wars have been going on that Iraqi fucking Iranian border. The fucking Kuwait thing? Fuck, please. Who the fuck are we to rob their natural resources in the name of the Queen? I like all you people says, oh, we'll get their oil. What, are you fucking the Queen's nephew? You on the board of directors? And just never forget this, British Petroleum sealed off the beaches, public beaches, when they annihilated the Gulf forever. That proves the power that the Queen has. British Petroleum, a private company, major shareholder is Windsor, sealed off the United States public land, beaches, burned the mammals, and journalists were not allowed in. Fukushima, Japan, which is the United States, you mentioned, I did an interview several months ago. The professor I did the interview with over there is in jail today. The United States went over and incarcerated them all. You can't talk about it. It's beyond fascism. It's beyond ultra neo-feudalism. And the baby boomer in the aggregate, I'm not talking about individuals. Our small army, we're not contemporized. I don't buy into the contemporary freaking gun gold God thesis. I'm the opposite of the gun gold God thesis. I'm about the environment. Life is a test. I got news for all you baby motherfuckers. You failed. You bought in the Kool-Aid and supported the fucking ring kissers. You can get on your knees and kiss their ass all you want as they kill you with freaking cancer. Nuclear fallout is cancer. The cancer pandemic, which the World Health Organization, which is kidnapped again by the nuclear cartel, comes out and they've already called it a pandemic, which is fastly turning into an epidemic. Birth defects all over in Washington. Oh, God, we got these 8 birth defects in this little teeny town in Washington. What, huh? Hanford's leaking into the aquifer? What's Hanford? When Bechtel comes right out and says, yeah, you as the taxpayer paid us to put the triple-layer tanks around the Hanford water for the Manhattan Project. We didn't do it. We just fucked you out of the money. Oh, thank you, Bechtel. Here, you're good for the business. We can't stifle the economy by taxing these fucking monsters. Apple Computer fucking 200 billion parking offshores. They don't pay any taxes. Oh, Governor Norquist said don't raise the taxes on these fucking corps. Who the fuck is that terrorist punk? Fucking queen ass kissers. Inherited wealth? This country did not believe in inherited wealth. My grandpa was a multi-millionaire. Abraham Hunsaker IV. Without Abraham Hunsaker I, there is no Mormon church. There is no Utah. Yeah, he's one of the guys that found the gold at the Suda Mill. When he died, you know how much he left his daughter? $30,000 each. Yeah, the 4th. I would have been the 6th if my mom was a man. He didn't believe in inherited wealth. That was quintessentially American. They left it to freaking causes. That's what America was. They believed this was the land that you came here. They had the same philosophy as Jesus, anti-usury, and everybody had the same opportunity. It wasn't through bloodlines and you were born into it, but now you bought in. And they bait you, oh, you're going to be a royal. Come get our club. Last guy in, shut the fucking door. And that's what happened. There was a lot of people got in the club and the technology bubbled up, boom. You know, these people, right place, right time. The last one in, shut the fucking door. But I got news for all you fuckers who think you're in the club. So many of you are going to die from fucking cancer. And your soul's going to rot in the lowest form of hell is in my book. And this is my fucking book. Because you didn't protect your people. You want to take on the role of a leader? Then take on the role of a leader. You want to be an air sucker and earth crawler? So be it. But if you're going to take on the role of a leader in a spiritual way, you're going to preach from the pulpit in the Mormon thesis, the evangelical thesis, all these religions. The only man who ever spoke truth from the fucking pulpit was fucking Reverend Wright. And look what we did to him. And I'll say one thing about John McCain, that evil, well, not evil. When he named Sarah Palin for his, I knew he was fucked. I mean, wow, that's pathetic of a human being. I mean, low IQ, pathetic person. She's grotesque as it fucking comes. Having an affair with her freaking husband's best friend. And the husband finds out Todd with his hair strained. You say, oh, sorry, honey. Here, let me vacuum the floor while you go over and visit him again. Fucking coward. What a weakling. What a weakling. But why did not McCain go after Reverend Wright? Semper Fi. Who was John McCain's dad? Oh, the Admiral. Reverend Wright, very well decorated Marine by my dad. Oh, let me tell you, I'm in that thesis. I'm in the Marine family. I was head of the atomic veterans. My father so simplified, blow your mind. They guard each other. It's a family. Even if they hate each other and they're flat, they don't attack each other. That's why they didn't attack you. Reverend Wright, you listened to that speech he gave right after when Obama turned on him? Listen to it. That's when I knew how gone America was. He's a genius. He's a genius. He preaches brilliance from the pulpit. In the truth. Megan Rice, a genius. Absolute genius. Brilliant woman. Absolutely brilliant woman. 84 years old being tortured. It's beyond William Wallace. It's beyond grotesque. It is the hallmark and the thumbprint of what we have morphed into. Do you realize we are $20 trillion in debt and reeling? The Federal Reserve has kept the interest rate at zero for 13 fucking years. What does that happen when you put the interest rate low? You thrash the currency. When you thrash the currency, you fucking devalue all wealth across the board. All wealth. You can't hide. It's simple. You got $10,000 in 2000. What does your $10,000 buy? In gold, in academia, in cars, in whatever. What does it buy now? That's what it does. That's what a Fed rate of 0%. I got an argument this morning. Oh, keep lowering it. It's really stimulate the economy? Really? So what? Because you're all tied to your mortgage? Go refi it, and you live in your facade? America's a fucking facade. One thing has trumped it all now. Nuclear fallout. The National Repository is leaking for the first time in 50 years, and we know it is. The cover-up. A major giant story. Fukushima, yeah, they've had men in there trying to entomb it. By the tens of thousands. Can't report at it. The cover-up is so grotesque, and always these philosophies, but we had men who stood up. Bobby Kennedy stood up. I shook his hand 100 days before. Me and my grandpa. What a man that guy was, my grandpa. We stood sat right next to him. Martin Luther King, that was a man. He knew that he was going to have to lay down his life. When the Reverend went out and he said, you got to do that. You're the charismatic guy. He didn't want to do it. He knew he'd be killed. He knew. But he anyway. John Kennedy knew he was going to be killed. But he stood up. I mean, he had wealth. He had power. They could have went right in with the club. Abraham Lincoln, I think, there's no doubt, he knew he was going to be killed. McKinley knew he was going to be killed. All these people that stood up to the freaking monarchy system. We want to be royals. Keep wanting, fuckers. This country is in big, big, big trouble. Big trouble. And you go in denial all you want about it. Not just because of the economic thesis. Your job gutted. There is no job market, and there can never be a job market when you're freaking competing with a 2 billion workforce in China. Oh, they'll buy our goods. Yeah, they make 37 cents a day. They can buy a lot of our goods. We don't export anything. Nothing. Oh, yeah, our oil and natural gas and our so-called energy. We produce 235% more energy in this country than we use. Who's extracting it? The Queen. British Petroleum. Halliburton. Dick Cheney. Fuck, what do you think Iraq was about? What do you think Afghanistan? To extract those natural resources out of the Caspian Sea to build that pipeline? Absolutely. What do you think Syria was all about? And those fast-line activists joined together and exposed that they just wanted to build the pipeline. All these wars are about extracting natural resources for the Queen, not us. We don't have a sovereign wealth fund in this country. Oh, no. Switzerland does. Norway does. Denmark does. And by the way, the World Bank has pulled the plug on nuclearism. Tune it to the baby boomer and echo boomer in the aggregate. You're pathetic. My small little army, stand strong and unite and fight back on these fuckers with your intelligence. Call Udall's office in New Mexico. Call Udall and say you could make a pimple on Stewart's fucking ass.